In this lesson, we're going to write a program that's just a little bit more interesting. We're going to program the EV3 to draw a picture of some sleepy eyes on the screen and then have the EV3 make a snoring noise. If your EV3 is turned off, power it on now. Also, to make sure you don't run into any unintended problems, I recommend that before you do any of this, you quit from the EV3 programming software and start it up from scratch. As you learn more about the EV3, you'll be able to write new programs without this step. But for now, I just want to focus on the programming. Okay, start up your software again, and I think it would be good to put this program inside the other project we were working on. So I'm going to say File, Open Project, and I'm going to look for my EV3 practice project and double click on that to open it up. And remember, EV3 practice, we started adding some more programs at the end of the last lesson, so I don't really have a plain old program in there. I'm just going to close that for now, and let's rename driving program. So I just double clicked on that. Oops, let's do it again. I double clicked on it to select that name. And let's call this, I don't know, Sleepy Snore. I think that's a bit better. Okay. And remember that programs always run from left to right, so whatever we connect up to this play button is going to be the first thing that happens, and then the next thing, and so on. So I am going to grab a display block this time and put that up first, because the first thing we want to do is do these sleepy eyes. And I'm going to click again, just like with the sound block, I'm going to click in this little file name area so we can pick what we want. And if you go through the different Lego image files, you can see there's a bunch of different ones, expressions. You can see I was looking around in the eyes earlier. If we look at eyes, there's, you know, down eyes and hurt eyes. And there's middle, right, neutral, all sorts of good eyes. I'm particularly interested in the tired eyes. There's tired left, tired middle, tired right. I think I'm going to pick tired middle. Okay. So our first block here has tired middle eyes, and then we need to have a snore, right? So now we need one of our sound blocks. Let's just put that up there. And again, we want a sound in there. Let's go into the Lego sound files. And in the Lego sound files, I happen to know that there's a snore inside of expressions. So let's click on expressions. And there's snoring, so I'll select that. Wonderful. Okay, so there's my program. Before we download it, let's remember to save the project. So I'm going to say File, Save Project. And now we'll download it to my robot. My robot's already turned on. Okay, so I recently restarted my robot, so it's back in that recently played, recently run section, but we're never going to use in there. We're going to push the right arrow over, and you can see the first program in there, or the first project, excuse me, in there is the JSK EV3 practice. So we're going to go in there. And now if you look, there's a few different programs in there. We've got Sleepy Snore, we also have the program, and we have Good Morning, right? All the programs were downloaded. We want to use Sleepy Snore, so I'm going to use the arrow keys to get up to there, and I'm going to push the button. Let's see what happens. Pretty cool. Let's do it one more time. In order to avoid some common problems that crop up when beginners start writing robot programs, I need to ask you to put a couple of limits on your use of image blocks. Just for now, don't end a program with an image block. Also, just for now, don't put 2 or more image blocks right next to each other in your program. Next week, I'll explain what's going on, and you'll be able to do anything you want with image blocks. But for now, if you run a program that includes either of these, you may find the robot's behavior very confusing. Of course, if you like a challenge, feel free to try it now and see what happens. I'm also going to ask you to do something that can sometimes be incredibly hard for me to do when I'm starting out with a new robot, which is to avoid panicking if your program doesn't seem to be working. If your robot program isn't working and you haven't put an image block at the very end or put 2 of them together, then I want you to do the following. First, make sure that all of your blocks are correctly connected up to this play block and to each other. So if I just grab over here, that one's grayed out. Nothing should be grayed out. If I put it there, not connected, right? Everything needs to be all connected up. If that's all okay, then look closely at your code. Go through each block one at a time and look at the settings for it to make sure it's set to do what you think it should be doing. If your code looks good, then try powering your robot off and then on again and downloading the program again. Make sure you're selecting the correct program on your EV3 and see if it works this time. If your program still doesn't work, but you think everything looks good, you may want to try creating a brand new project and a new program and try rewriting it from scratch. Sometimes it's easier to rewrite from scratch than to find the little nitpicky problem with your code. Finally, if you're still having trouble, remember that you can always post questions on our forum or contact LEGO support.